5 years into our marriage, I still brought Leah her favorite soy milk and crullers every single morning. On Valentine, I came home early and overheard her cooing into her phone, "Chase, see you tomorrow at the usual place." Turned out the drawer she kept locked was stuffed with ticket stubs and love letters to her first love. I set the roses down without a word and went straight to call Sophie, who'd had a quiet thing for me for years. The next day, Leah screamed herself hoarse over the love letters scattered beside the divorce papers. The alarm went off at 6:30 on the dot, exactly like every other morning for the past 5 years. Not a minute off. I reached out and killed it while I was still half asleep. From the quilt beside me came Leah's drowsy mumble. "Honey, what time is it?" "Still early, sleep a little longer." I kept my voice low, slid out from under the quilt, and tried not to jostle her. Early spring air clung to the room, and the bare soles of my feet stung when they met the floor. I snapped the kitchen light on. It felt harsh, tying on my faded apron. I went through the motions. The soy milk machine purred, hot oil hissed, and the smell of frying crullers soon owned the tiny space. Leah says 5 years haven't dulled that scent. It still smells like home. At 7, I poured the steaming soy milk into the kitty face mug she loves, set the just out of the fryer golden crullers on a porcelain plate, and carried the tray back. Leah was already sitting up, knuckling her eyes, messy hair spilling over her shoulders like silk. Awake. Good. Eat while it's hot. I parked the breakfast on her nightstand. She squinted, smiled, and pecked my cheek with sleep-warm lips. "Thanks, honey, you're the best." The words were soft, honey thick. Watching her nibble, cheeks puffing in and out, melted every scrap of irritation the alarm had left in me. For 5 years this, seeing her eat what I'd made, has been non-negotiable routine and the steadiest corner of my heart. Life, I figured, should stay like this. Calm, safe, with her. Tonight's Valentine? What should I cook? I asked, gathering my things. She tilted her head, eyes sparkling. Your sweet and sour ribs. And that strawberry mousse from the patisserie we saw last week. It looked amazing. You got it. I'll swing by after work. I grabbed my briefcase, bent to kiss her forehead. I'm off. Drive safe. She lifted her face, sweet as sugar. The door shut softly behind me. The hallway was silent except for my own steps. Outside, the cold wind slapped me awake. I brushed my pocket. 2 hard rectangles, the movie tickets for tonight's new rom-com, and a tiny velvet box holding a thin platinum moon necklace. She likes things simple and delicate. Valentine needs a little ritual. Imagining her delighted gasp, I couldn't help grinning. Life is ordinary, but the sweetness she deserves must still be served. A little after 3, manager's round face popped above my cubicle wall, beaming like a Buddha. "Zach, you turned that project report in this morning? Nice speed." He rubbed his palms. "It's Valentine. Nothing urgent. Take off early. Buy flowers. Book a table. Don't keep Leah waiting." The office erupted in teasing whistles. "Zach, you lucky dog. Boss plays favorites. Go, go. Stop torturing us singles." I scratched my head, embarrassed but buzzing. Perfect. I'd have time to decorate and surprise her. Movie tickets, necklace, strawberry mousse, sweet and sour ribs. Suddenly the afternoon looked generous. "Thanks, manager." I shut my laptop and bolted. Outside, late afternoon sun poured down. Soft wind. Perfect walking weather. First the patisserie, a pink cake box tied with a ribbon that made me smile. Then the supermarket for the plumpest ribs and fresh produce. Bags swinging. I reached our complex a little past 4. Leah wouldn't be home for hours. I slid the key in quietly, planning, fridge the cake, marinate the ribs, maybe arrange some roses in the living room, plenty of time. The lock clicked. I just started to push when a voice slipped through the crack. A cold needle straight into my ear. Leah's voice, yet the tone, sticky and hooked, was nothing I'd ever heard from her. "Oh, stop it, Chase. You're such a pain," she cooed, half laugh, half purr. "Tomorrow, our usual spot. Where else?" "Don't worry. I've arranged everything. No one will bother us." My hand, my breath, everything froze. The cake box and grocery bags hung like lead, knuckles white. Each word, a branding iron. Chase, usual place. Tomorrow, no one will bother us. That woman inside, flirting like a stranger, was the same who every morning called me honey while sipping the soy milk I bought. Inside, she babbled on, serpent-tongued. "Miss you too. Annoying. We just video chatted yesterday. Okay, see you tomorrow. Gift. Guess what I prepared? Bet you'll love it. Hee hee. I stood paralyzed, blood roaring in my ears, then draining away until only ice remained. The boxes weighed tons, handles cutting my fingers. The voice, lilting, giggling, felt foreign and filthy. Never once had she spoken to me like that. Our 5 years of gentle mutterings now seemed coated in grease. Who was on the other end? Chase, the first love she'd sworn was ancient history. Apparently history keeps bleeding into the present. Seconds, or centuries, passed. The call ended. Slippers scuffed toward the bedroom. I inhaled shards of air, forced my shaking hand to ease the door open, slipped inside, and shut it without a sound. Empty living room. The air still sticky sweet. I lowered the bags at the entryway and glided through like a ghost. The master bedroom door stood ajar. I stopped outside and held my breath, rustling inside, and Leah humming. Happy thrilled, because tomorrow she'd meet Chase. My gaze nailed itself to the small locked drawer in the nightstand. Since moving in, I'd respected her little girl secrets, never asked, never pried. Now the brass lock looked like Pandora's clasp. That drawer answers, Chase, tomorrow, 5 years of my life, fraud. I knelt, fingers twitching. No key. I yanked. It didn't budge. Eyes sweeping. Dresser. No. Closet. I remembered she kept spare keys in an old hat on the top shelf. I stretched. Felt cold metal. A tiny brass key. It took 3 tries to steady the key enough. Click. Heart cannonading. I yanked the drawer open. No. Little girl secrets. Only a thick stack of boarding passes. Top pair. Tomorrow afternoon. Sonia. Passengers. Leah. Chase. Beneath them, bank cards. Several hotel confirmations. Tomorrow's date. Then letters bound with a pastel ribbon. The first sheet. Her delicate writing. Chase. Seeing your words is like seeing you. Every day apart stretches like a year. This city without you hurts to breathe in. Thank God we still have tomorrow. Our place. No excuses. Miss. Crave. Love you. Your Leah. Date. Last Valentine. I pulled more. Different dates. Same pulse of longing. Same blaze of love. Each line a red-hot blade carving my memories to bloody scraps. Tickets. Letters. Reservations. Proof that every morning's soy milk, every cruller, every soft thank you had merely been her license to cheat while I financed the stage. I, Zach, steady provider, guarantor of her freedom to meet, no one will bother us. A cosmic joke with me as the punchline. An absurdity so colossal and a fury at being played for an utter fool erupted inside me like molten rock, sweeping away every last brick of reason in a single instant. Everything in front of me spun and warped. I slammed the drawer shut with a dull, thunderous crash. From the living room came Leah's puzzled voice. Honey, you're home. Why so early? Footsteps approached, quick and light. Her voice stabbed through the lava in my skull like an ice-cold needle. The steps were already at the bedroom door. Honey, what are you doing? Why did the drawer bang? She pushed the door open. The sweet smile from her phone call still pasted on her lips. When she saw me crouched at the nightstand, she froze for a beat. My body moved faster than my brain. A split second before the door was fully open, I snapped the drawer shut with a loud crack and palmed the small brass key into my pocket. The motion quick enough to stir a gust of air. Nothing, I said, getting up with my back to her. My voice came out calm, strangely calm, even hoarse, a voice I barely recognized. Looking for something. I didn't dare turn. The scarlet rage and icy chill surging in my eyes would give everything away. What could you be looking for? You scared me, coming home so early. She walked over, arms naturally reaching to circle my waist, tone laced with the usual affection. Didn't you say tonight you'd? The instant her fingertips brushed my shirt, I flinched away as if touched by a branding iron. The movement was small, but the refusal was unmistakable. Her hands hung in midair. The smile congealed on her face. She stared, bewildered. What's wrong with you? You're acting weird. Nothing. I repeated the word, still not looking at her. Brushed past and headed for the living room. My steps felt unsteady, yet each one landed heavily. I needed space. Needed to cool down. Needed distance. One more second beside her and I might do summit. Hing irreversible. In the living room, the bouquet of scarlet roses I had placed on the entryway console this morning lay exactly where I left them. Under the golden afterglow, filtering through the windows, the velvety petals glowed blood red, stabbing my eyes. Beside them sat the velvet box holding the platinum moon necklace I'd carefully chosen and the 2 romantic movie tickets for tonight. What a mockery of a Valentine gifts. I walked over, seized the roses without hesitation. Delicate petals ruptured under my brutal grip. Sticky, icy juice coating my fingers. At the trash can I stuffed the entire bouquet in as though it were nauseating garbage. The bright red vanished into darkness. Next came the velvet box. I didn't even flip it open, flung it onto the mangled roses. Then the 2 tickets, torn into confetti that snowed down the bin, breath heaving as if I just finished a marathon. I stood beside the trash can. My fingertips still quivered, not from sorrow, but from a glacial, annihilating rage. Leah had followed me the whole time. The bewilderment on her face turned to shock and a flicker of unmistakable panic. Zach, have you lost your mind? She finally cried, voice pitched high with disbelief. Those were your flowers. And, what did you just toss? It's Valentine. What the hell is wrong with you? Slowly, I turned and met her gaze. Backlit by the setting sun, her face was still lovely. Her eyes, once believed to brim with love, now filled only with confusion and an affronted irritation. So innocent. Wrong. I tugged the corner of my mouth, trying for a smile. My muscles only stiffened. Maybe. My voice was soft, but edged with frost. I saw a few things and suddenly, it all felt pointless. Saw what? Explain yourself. She stepped closer, tone sharpening into an interrogation. Explain. Explain the tickets to our old place, hidden in your drawer. Explain the tear-stained love letters you wrote Chase. Explain the romantic getaway for two leaving for Sonia tomorrow afternoon. And then what? Listen to your pale excuses. Watch your teary-eyed performance. No. Too easy. An icy, crushing wave of exhaustion surged through me, dousing every impulse to yell or demand answers. 5 full years of wholehearted devotion, played like a rag doll. All my love, my dreams for the future, crushed to dust by the cold evidence in that drawer. Interrogation, brawl, a messy expose that would only make me more pitiful, an impotent clown dumped and raging. Not worth it. I looked at her. The last fleck of warmth in my eyes died, leaving only a bottomless frozen pool. There's nothing to say. I shifted my gaze away from her face, now more mask than skin, and grabbed the car keys from the console. I had to leave. Immediately. One more breath in this place and I would suffocate. Zach, where are you going? Her voice rose behind me, threaded with unmistakable alarm. Stop. Talk to me. My answer was a solid, decisive slam of the security door. Bang. The engine snarled. The car shot out of the complex. Outside, scenery blurred into streaming color. I clenched the wheel, knuckles white, veins bulging. Ice-cold fury churned with overwhelming absurdity, threatening to rip me apart. Where to? No idea. I only wanted escape from that cesspool of lies and betrayal. From the woman called Leah. On the passenger seat my phone buzzed, the screen flashing in Vivi. The name that once warmed my heart now burned like a red-hot brand. I glanced, muted it, left it to vibrate futilely, on, off, on again. Only the engine's growl and my ragged breathing remained. Scraps of memory ricocheted inside my skull, her syrupy coo on the call, the glaring tickets and letters, her innocent yet indignant face moments ago. 5 years. A complete idiot, a caged provider of comfortable life so she could relive old dreams with her ex. A hoarse, metallic laugh clawed my throat. When rage peaks it produces a deadly calm. Divorce. Inevitable, but slipping away quietly so tomorrow she can happily jet off to Sonia with Chase on my dime. Why should she? Why should she enjoy my care while trampling my dignity? Why should she plan tomorrow's gold-flamed date without a care while I wander the streets like a stray? A thought, icy, malicious, scorched earth, unfurled from the darkest corner of my mind, wrapping around the last threads of my sanity. Revenge. Let her taste the blade of betrayal from the one she trusts most. Let her watch her carefully woven dream shredded, along with her hypocritical mask, at the very moment she feels most triumphant. The phone lit again. Not Leah this time. Sophie. Sophie. Leah's best friend. The quiet woman whose glances carried too many words unsaid. Leah had teased more than once. Han, do you think Sophie has a crush on you? The way she looks at you. Tisk. I'd laughed it off as gossip. Now that name flickered like ghost fire in the dark. I stomped the brake. Tires shrieked. Car halting on an empty roadside. Heart pounding, not from anger, but because the insane scheme was already taking shape. I lifted the phone. My finger trembled with reckless resolve. I inhaled. Swiped accept. Hello, Zach? Sophie's voice drifted over. Gentle as ever, laced with cautious probing. Leah said you weren't picking up. She's worried. Asked me to check. Are you okay? Did you two fight? Worried. I almost laughed. Worried I'd discovered her secret and ruined tomorrow's Sonia trip. More like, Sophie, I began. The words steady, deliberately husky. I'm fine. Just need to talk. Can we meet? Right now? A pause. Even her breathing seemed to still. Seconds ticked, as if she were weighing options, or smothering anticipation. Now, the tension in her voice carried a tremor of eagerness. Sure. Where are you? I'll come. The cafe door chimed when I entered. At dusk only a handful of customers sat beneath warm amber light glowing over wood tables. Air thick with roasted bean aroma, comforting, yet unable to touch the ice inside. In the corner window seat Sophie already waited. Cream cashmere sweater, hair draped over her shoulders, cradling a steaming cup, eyes drifting to the glass. Hearing the chime she turned. Her gaze flared the instant she saw me, then dropped. Lashes beating to veil the flicker of emotion, concern, tension, undeniable anticipation. Zach, she greeted softly. I slid into the opposite chair. A server appeared and I ordered only iced water. The cold slid down my throat, offering momentary clarity, but failed to quell the magma beneath. Leah's, worried about you, Sophie ventured cautiously, fingers tracing her cup. What happened? Today's Valentine, isn't it? Valentine? I tugged a mirthless smile, eyes boring into hers, sharp as razors.
Yeah,
Valentine. A perfect day for discovering truths. Her flush deepened under my stare. She angled her face away. Earlobes pink. Truth. What? Truth. I didn't answer at once. Quiet music drifted. Murmurs of a nearby couple floated past. All this calm mocked the storm within. I studied her, Leah's trusted confidant. The way she looked at me, Leah's jokes and icy, flawless plan crystallized. Sophie, I leaned in, voice low, laced with deliberate fatigue and hush. Do you have feelings for me? Blam. Sophie's face detonated crimson. She snapped her head up, eyes wide, shock and flustered guilt swirling. She parted her lips to deny, to explain, but under my piercing gaze, every word jammed in her throat, shrinking into a sharp gasp. She stammered. Fingers clamped around the coffee cup until her knuckles went white. Her reaction was already the best answer. No need to deny it. I cut her off, my voice calm in a strange way, even threaded with a cruel sort of gentleness I've known for a long time. I paused, my gaze sinking into a pool so cold it had no bottom. Then do you know who Linway is really in love with? The flush on Sophie's face drained fast, replaced by a shaky, blanched pallor. She stared at me, eyes flickering, lips parting, but no sound came. She seemed to sense what was coming. Not the honey who buys her soy milk and crullers every morning, I said with a bitter smile uglier than tears. Chase, her first love, her white moon. They never stopped. What? Sophie gasped, hand jerking so hard the coffee almost spilled. Disbelief carved across her face. That's impossible. Way. She obviously what? Obviously played the loving wife in front of me? I finished for her, voice like ice. Locked in her drawer are all the plane tickets she's used to fly to Chase, and the love letters she wrote him. Tomorrow afternoon, she's taking off for Sonia with him. Couple's trip. Every word, poisoned icicles, scraped out between my teeth. Sophie sat frozen, mouth half open, eyes bulging as if she'd heard a fairy tale turned nightmare. Shock, bewilderment, the sting of being duped, all twisted across her features. She, Linway's closest friend, had been kept in the dark as well. So, I said, reading the shock on her face, knowing the moment was ripe. I leaned back in my chair, gaze locking on hers, a desperate madness and bare invitation inside it. This Valentine, I don't want to spend alone. Sophie, will you keep me company? The air seemed to solidify. The cafe music receded into a distant, unreal murmur. Sophie's face cycled white to red to white, her breathing quick and shallow. She stared at me, eyes battling fiercely, horrified by Linway's betrayal, torn by morality, and drawn, secretly, fatally, to the man she has quietly adored for years, now radiating danger and vulnerability all at once. Seconds crawled. I waited patiently, a trapper listening to the thud of his own heavy heart. At last, as if yanking herself over an abyss, she sucked in a sharp breath, lifted her eyes, met mine. In the gaze that had always been gentle now flared a reckless fire, fired by anger at Linway's deceit and a hidden, long-starved longing to step closer. Okay. Her voice was soft, perfectly clear, trembling just beneath the surface. I'll stay with you. City neon flowed outside the windows, rivers of blurred color. Inside the car, silence pressed like a suffocating blanket. Sophie sat in the passenger seat, body slightly rigid, profile to the glass, fingers unconsciously twisting the hem of her blouse. The dash she'd summoned in the cafe seemed to have evaporated with the engine's first growl. Only tension and nameless unease remained. I kept my eyes on the road lit by the headlights, face unreadable. Only I knew the war inside my chest. Cold flames of vengeance urging me toward this lunatic plan, while the last pathetic threads of a 5-year marriage, and a flicker, maybe guilt, over using Sophie, tore back in the other direction. A brief unease I refused to name. The car stopped under my building. Familiar doorway, familiar stairwell. Hours ago I'd bolted from here broken. Now I was back, with another woman. We're here. I killed the engine. Voice flat. Sophie's frame tightened. She flicked a glance at me, complicated, questioning, a trace of retreat inside it, probably hoping I'd speak, maybe, change my mind. I didn't look, just pushed the door. A cold night wind whipped in, sharp. Sophie hesitated a heartbeat, then followed in silence. Up the stairs. Key and lock. The click echoed eerily in the hush. The door swung open. The living room light was on, the television blaring some inane variety show turned too loud, making the emptier house feel like it was pretending to be full. Linway was curled on the sofa, hugging a throw pillow, eyes fixed on the screen, yet obviously elsewhere, restless and irritable. The instant instant she heard the latch she sprang up, face assembling a mask of grievance and fury. Voice shrill, "Zach, so you're finally home." "You," the tirade strangled in her throat the moment she spotted Sophie stepping in behind me. Her expression froze, anger, stupefaction, blank disbelief, then set into cold iron. Her eyes, twin poison knives, pinned Sophie, then snapped to me, blazing with shock, accusation, and a sense of betrayal so total it looked volcanic. "Sophie?" Her voice cracked with disbelief, razor sharp. What are you doing with him? "Zach, what the hell is this?" Sophie flinched under that murderous glare, shrinking behind me, face bloodless, lips sealed, unable to meet Lin Wei's eyes. I ignored the shriek. My gaze slid past her contorted features to the coffee table at the center of the living room. There lay my mute verdict, arranged like a still life condemnation, a lush bouquet of red roses, clearly not the bouquet I had trashed, bought by herself, or sent by Chase. Beside it, a prettily wrapped gift box. But what pierced most were the sheets in her neat handwriting spread beneath box and blooms, the very love letters I had taken from her drawer, now displayed as if in open court. On top of them, centered like an exhibit tag, lay a document in stark black on white headed divorce agreement I had already signed on the husband line, strokes forceful enough to tear the paper, the Inca cleaver falling on whatever still bound us. I had slipped back ahead of Sophie, while she powdered her face in the cafe restroom, to stage this Valentine surprise. Lin Wei tracked my stare. When the letters and the agreement registered, the blood drained from her face in a single sweep. She looked lightning-struck, eyes stretching, locked on those papers, frame quivering as if every joint were coming loose. "No way," she whispered, voice fracturing, panic and disbelief flooding it. She jerked her head up, the once tender eyes now blazed crimson. "Rabid. You, how could you, how dare you?" Then her gaze whipped to Sophie behind me, venom practically dripping. "Zach, you bastard." A scream shredded her throat. She seized the bouquet and hurled it at me with every ounce of strength she had left. Petals and stems burst apart, scarlet spots splattering the pale floor like fresh blood. The roses smacked my chest and tumbled, petals scattered, juice bleeding out, her shriek still echoing. She lunged for the coffee table. My letters, she howled, voice warped by terror and rage, the gentle mask obliterated. Frantically she clawed the sheets, crumpling, ripping, the paper crackling. Tears and mucus smeared the face once carefully made up, now a wreck. "Who gave you the right? Who told you to touch my things? Zach, you bastard, thief, scum." Each curse tore through clenched teeth while her eyes tried to carve me open. A sharp edge sliced her finger. A bead of bright red dripped onto the paper, blooming crimson. The sting seemed to tip her further. She stared at the blood, at the shredded letters, at the divorce agreement, then, like a hawk, at Sophie, pale and shaking behind me. That stare curdled with murderous accusation. "You, Sophie, it was you, wasn't it?" Lin Wei jabbed a trembling finger, voice splintering the air, body half leaping as though to tear her apart. "You slut, you've wanted him forever, haven't you? Jealous of me. You drove a wedge between us. You showed him everything. Homewrecker, husband stealer." Sophie quailed, retreating closer to me, white as chalk, stammering, "Vivi, I didn't. Shut up." Lin Wei screeched over her, words disintegrating into sobs. "Utterly lost. Don't play innocent. You two-faced bitch. I called you my best friend. And you and he." She shook so violently she could barely point. "You pair of filthy cheats. Rot in hell." The living room thundered with her raving and weeping. The TV laugh track absurdly jolly underneath, a grotesque, suffocating canvas. The air stank of bruised roses, salty tears, and the reek of despair. I watched without a flicker, witnessing the woman I once loved beyond reason now writhing like a fish on the dock, shredding her secret letters, her secret Sonya dream collapsing. No mercy stirred on the frozen waste inside me. Instead, a warped satisfaction unfurled. "Hurts, does it, compared to the slicing you gave me with every ticket, every love-struck line? This is nothing." I didn't bother answering. I simply stood, an unmoved statue, letting her foul tantrum splash off the stone wall of my silence. That stillness only fed her fury. "Say something, Zach. Cat got your tongue." Seeing no reaction, she snatched the gift box, Chase's Valentine surprise, I assumed, and slammed it to the floor. The lid cracked, and out rolled a glittering necklace. "Who the hell do you think you are?" she screamed, her voice already hoarse and cracking, thick with tears yet burning with defiance. "Because of some stupid letters. Because you went through my drawer. Who gave you the right to mess around with Sophie? Who gave you the right to sign divorce papers? Who gave you the right to ruin my Valentine, ruin everything I had planned?" She was a caged animal gone berserk, storming back and forth across the living room, kicking knocking over the trash can. Garbage, including the flowers I'd tossed and the necklace box, spilled across the floor. She snatched a throw pillow from the couch, flung it down hard, then yanked at the curtains. Anything within reach became ammunition for her rage. In seconds, the entire home looked like a war zone. In the lull of her tantrum, the phone she'd left on the sofa flashed and buzzed. The name that lit the screen leapt straight into my eyes: Chase. Linway froze as if someone had hit pause. At the sight of TH. At name, a flicker of panic dashed through her bloodshot eyes. Then a sick, desperate hope. She practically dived for it, fingers shaking as she tried to swipe accept. Chase, listen to me. She blurted frantically, voice breaking, frantic to explain. The instant the call connected, I moved. I stepped forward, faster than she could react, and ripped the phone from her hand, while she gaped, shocked, furious, disbelieving. I tapped speaker. Hello, Vivi, what's wrong? You sound upset. Tomorrow at the airport, 2 p.m., you've got everything, right? The man chuckled, relaxed and cheerful, the sound pouring naked from the speaker into the gunpowder-thick room. It was Chase. That easy laugh felt like a rock dropped into dead water, sending uncanny ripples through a space still echoing with Linway's howls. She stood petrified, every curse stuck midair, eyes wide. She stared at the phone in my hand, then snapped her gaze to me, terror and pleading filling them, lips trembling in a silent "don't." Sophie held her breath, watching. I glanced at the screen at Chase, then at Linway's ashen face, and felt a frigid smile crawl across my lips. There was no warmth in it, only cruel mockery and the dark thrill of the final verdict. Chase, I said into the phone, voice eerily calm, almost polite, shattering the breezy bubble of his greeting. His laughter cut off. Clearly he hadn't expected a man's voice, certainly not at this hour. A few seconds of silence. Then he spoke. Wary, who is this? Where's Vivi? I'm Zach. I locked my stare on Linway. The name made her shudder, her pallor worsening until she looked ready to faint. Linway's husband. Even longer silence crackled through the speaker, broken only by a coarse intake of breath that betrayed his shock. Sorry to interrupt. I continued in the same flat tone, as if discussing someone else's problem, but there's something you ought to know. I paused, feeling the tension stretch from the phone to the woman beside me. The living room was a vacuum now, save for Linway's thin, terrified gasps. Those 2 plane tickets you sent her for the flight to Sonia tomorrow afternoon? My words dropped like ice chips. I'm afraid she won't be able to make it. Zach, shut up. Give me my phone. Linway shrieked, coming back to life with a banshee scream and lunging for the handset. I sidestepped easily, lifting an arm so she stumbled past. Sophie half reached to steady her, but one icy look from me froze her in place. Why? Chase's tone darkened, fury bubbling, laced with unease. Zach, what are you talking about? This is between Vivi and me. Simple. Ignoring Linway's claws and wails, I let each syllable slide through the speaker into his ear. An hour ago, I got a rather interesting email. Sender listed as Leah, Chase's fiancé. The word fiancé detonated 3 thunderbolts at once. Linway's scream strangled in her throat. She snapped her head up, eyes bulging, fixed upon me in blank horror. Blood drained away. Reality, or the shred she still grasped, collapsed. From the phone came Chase's ragged, suddenly panicked inhalations. What fiancé? What email? Zach, stop making crap up. Making it up? I let out a soft laugh, thin and blood-curdling. The email included a digital invite. Very chic. Groom, Chase. Bride, Leah. Wedding date, the 8th of next month. Ritz-Carlton. Oh, and Leah cordially asked both Linway and me to attend and share in your joy. She said she was grateful for Linway's years of a consolation and a companionship while you coped with work stress. Bang. Linway swayed, legs buckling. She dropped hard onto the cold floor, sprawling among rose petals, shredded love letters, and trash. Her gaze lost all focus, lips quivering, soundless. No, impossible. You're lying. Chase, say something. Tell me he's lying. She rasped toward the phone, voice splintering, a death silence. Then Chase burst out, shrill with dread and fury. Zach, stay the hell out of this. Vivi, listen to me. It's not what you think. Hello. Was there anything left to explain? I ended the call. His hoarse yell cut off mid-breath. The room fell into tomb-like silence. Only Linway remained, an empty shell on the floor, shuddering as silent tears carved channels through her mess. All her painted dreams of the same place, tomorrow, had been ground to dust beneath 2 simple documents, divorce papers and a wedding invitation. I looked down at the woman who had once been my wife, face bleached of life, stripped bare of lies, and felt no triumph. Only hollow, wind-blown fatigue. Bending, I retrieved the signed divorce agreement from the debris, dusting an imagined speck from its cover. Then I turned to Sophie, standing pale and wordless. "Let's go," I said quietly. "Drained. There's nothing left for us here." Sophie glanced at Lin Wei's shattered form, then at me, a storm of unnamed emotions in her eyes. Finally she just nodded. I took a last look at what had been called home, love letters strewn, roses crushed, gifts pulverized. A woman collapsed and ashen, and walked out. Sophie a step behind. Lin Wei's guttural animal howl ripped free as the heavy security door swung shut, sealing her agony inside. The motion sensor light in the hallway clicked on, bathing our silent silhouettes in yellow. The elevator stood empty, doors yawning. We stepped in. I pressed 1. The metal panels slid together, lifting the nightmare away as we sank toward ground level. Inside the tiny cage, Sophie remained quiet, but her shoulders seemed to loosen. She threw me a cautious side glance, questions and something like anticipation flickering across her face. I leaned against the cold wall and shut my eyes. Exhaustion flooded in. Vivi's broken face, Chase's frantic snarl, that glaring digital invite, all whirled behind my lids, then dissolved into white nothingness. The car nudged to a stop. We had reached the lobby. Doors whispered open. Outside, night wrapped the complex in calm. Street lamps painted soft amber halos on the pavement, the air sharp and cold. "Zach." Sophie's voice trembled, barely above a whisper. Are you okay?" I opened my eyes, but didn't answer right away, gazing past her toward the dark beyond the entrance. I let a long breath hiss out, vapor blooming, vanishing. "It's over," I muttered, hoarse, as though the syllables weighed tons. They struck the steel walls and dropped into the pit of my chest. Over. 5 years of soy milk and cruller mornings. The love I'd bragged about. A joke from start to finish. I stepped out into the biting night. Sophie followed half a pace behind. The elevator doors slid shut with a mechanical sigh, carrying everything that had happened back into the dark shaft above. The wind slapped color into my face. Brutally clear.